Right, welcome, Baba.
All right. Thank you very much, colleagues. My name is Marketer, like Michael just said, and I'm from the Meteorological Services Department. Um, just this one. So, as a department, we are tasked with trying to find what is happening in terms of the weather and the climate, and we also try to focus to what is expected in the near future, be it the short-term weather focus, be it also the climate predictions. We also look into the seismological, whatever is happening in terms of seismology, but I think it is not what we want to hear at the moment. We only concentrate on what is expected or what is the weather like. So basically, we have been having some sunny conditions over the past, should I say, week or past few weeks since the beginning of September, and we have seen evaporation rising all over the country. But we are now expecting some bit of showers here and there over the coming 7 days or so. But this won't be any significant, and we cannot yet start talking about the beginning of the season as yet. And I'll start off by looking at the temperature forecast that is expected over the coming season. So we're expecting October and November to be slightly warmer than normal. So these are forecasts of normal to below normal, above normal temperatures. So October is supposed to be a little bit hotter than it usually is. The same as November, but when you go to December, we're expecting some decrease in temperatures. Decrease not as in it becoming colder, but it becoming colder than what it usually is. I hope that will make sense. Than the actual mean of the temperatures in December. So basically, that's the focus for October, November, and December. And we keep on updating. Our focus become more accurate as we get closer to the day where the event is expected to occur. So we just thought that we would update October, November, and December, which is most critical for now. And I think I would also want to say something about the coming rains over the next few days, and also in October, especially for those who have wheat in their fields, that we might be expecting some showers here and there, and there might be some problems that can come with showers before the actual start of season, like according to the planned days of harvesting the wheat. Right. So in terms of the actual focus in rainfall, this is what we call the statistical focus that we did. And when we are doing statistical forecasting, we look at the global climate indicators. For example, we look at the NINA 3.4 index and also look at the Indian Ocean Dipole. And the indication is that there will be in the neutral phase, that is the NINA 3.4 index. The white region there is what we call the neutral phase, and the blue region at the bottom is the La Nina phase, and the red region, or at the top there is the El Nino phase. So this season is expected to be mostly within the neutral phase, and with the neutral phase, the weather becomes a little bit variable. The driving force of these drivers is not very much defined. Therefore, we tend to look at other drivers like the Indian Ocean Dipole, which is the oscillations in terms of temperatures within the West Indian Ocean, as well as the northern parts of the Indian Ocean there. And this one is showing that it will dip into the negative phase, then later on rise into the neutral phase. But we're not expecting it to go above the neutral phase, that is into the positive phase, where it is associated with less rainfall in Zimbabwe. Therefore, the focus per se, if you can move, the focus per se, again, is expected to, for October, November, and December, we're expecting normal to above normal rains over the greater part of the southern parts of Zimbabwe, but normal to below normal rainfall. That is for October, November, and December. But if you look at the three maps at the center there, the brown one, yellow one, and as well as the blue one, where you can actually see that October is expected to be dry, then November is somewhat dry, and December is a little bit wet. And in terms of the start of our season, we're expecting some rains, some significant rains from around the 14th of November this year. We are expecting some cold spell, some wet spell between the 14th and the 25th of November. But October, we will be having what we call some cloud bands that just come and go. They just come with some little rains, those violent storms that just come and go, but without leaving anything in the ground. That's what October is like. And it won't be much. November as well, from the 1st to the 14th to the 13th, we're not expecting much, but from the 14th up to the 25th, then we can start seeing something happening there. Then we have some dry spell, and the season will start picking in December, as you can see with the blue there. I think around the 4th to 5th of December, we will be expecting some rains, and that wet spell could last the whole of December. You see that blue color there shows some serious confidence in what we're expecting in December. So the statistical models are agreeing with what we call the dynamic models in terms of what they are predicting in December. So yeah, we are expecting a wet December. Then December, January, and February. Now for December, January, we are no longer aggregating by months. We are just bunching the forecast as those traditional 3-month periods. So for December, January, and February, we're expecting normal to above normal rainfall. We could go to above normal because I think something will happen towards February. We are expecting some decrease in rainfall. Therefore, there will be some dilution in terms of the amount of rainfall expected. But December and January will be the peak of our season, and we're expecting a lot of rains in those 2 months. Then if we go again, January, February, March, we're expecting the rains to start decreasing, especially from the northern parts of Zimbabwe, where you are seeing those yellows there. But again, yellow does not exactly mean that we're not expecting any rains. We are simply saying that we're expecting slightly normal rains than what we normally expect in those 3 months. And we will be updating this forecast on a monthly basis. We had thought that we would update it in a 2-weekly basis, but I think it would be too frequent for it to be useful. So I think we'll be updating it every month. That is the statistical forecast, but we will continue issuing 10-day and 2-week forecasts. And we have tried to improve the way we are doing things. This time we will try to find the dry spells within the season. Like I've just said, that we are expecting the whole of October to be slightly dry. Then we are also expecting the first part of November to be dry. Then from the 14th to the 25th, we are expecting something to happen there. Then it will be dry from the 26th up to the 3rd of December. Then the whole of December is expected to be wet. So we'll continue doing that until the season ends, because I think we have had a serious cry in terms of dry spells. People want to plan ahead in terms of how if they can irrigate or whatever the decision they have to make in terms of their farming activities. So basically, this is the focus that we have for you for this coming season. And thank you.
Thank you, Baba. Are there any questions for Baba? Is it straight? No. So 14 November.
Around 14 November, not exactly 14 November.
And then, if I remember correctly, there'll be a dry spell into December, and then sort of normal rains.
Yeah. Should I call it a dry spell? Because it will be slightly dry between 26th and the 3rd, which is around 8 days, if I'm not mistaken, which is not exactly a long period.
What I noticed was that the northern part of the country, so Lushinga, Mandawi, and Centenary, is going to be below normal.
Yeah, for the greater part of the season, yes. That part of the country, I think nothing much is expected there.
Yeah. Okay.
But we will continue querying our models and see if anything changes. So remember, we put it in yellow, not in dark brown, because the confidence is not exactly high in terms of, I mean, we are still a little bit far away from the end of season, like the January, February, March. So as we get closer, I think things might change. We are not yet sure because it's still a little bit further away. But for OND, that one we are sure. The top part of the country should be dry. That is the areas we're talking about.
So we're not seeing any El Nino activity or anything?
No, we are in the neutral phase. No El Nino, no La Nina, just in between the two.
Okay. Yes. So normal. That's good. Okay. Well, thanks very much, Baba.
Okay.
I guess, Deal, would you like to come through? So having received the weather report, Deal's going to help us through how would we prepare under that sort of scenario. So Deal is head of agronomy and extension services at SeedCo. His areas of expertise include agronomic leadership, extension services management, farmer empowerment, and stakeholder engagement. So welcome, Neil.
Thank you very much.
He's arrived with his colleague Patience, so I'm sure many of you know and have seen at many of our meetings. Thank you.
Thank you very much, colleagues. I'm glad to be here and to have this conversation with you. My name is Gio Potter, as indicated. I'm the head of agronomy at SeedCo, where we are present here in Zimbabwe and in several African countries. You can connect. Okay. So for the past 85 years, SeedCo has been breeding seed and has been seeding and feeding Africa. The whole story started here in Zimbabwe, and it is now in over 23 African countries, where we are providing what we call the Pan-African solutions to all the African places and inhabitants. Our main problem is that there's been some climate change and climate variability, which has prompted us to refine our breeding methods in a way that will speak directly to the needs of the farmers. So here in Zimbabwe, as you can see, most of our farmers are small-scale farmers, and majority of our farmers, that they account up to 80% of our farmers, and 20% might be coming from the commercial farmers. So from our conversations, SeedCo is a mission of breeding seed to breed and to seed and to feed Africa. But as you can see, that's not only what we do. We have been providing solutions to the farmer, and on top of that, we've been impacting communities through what we call several CSR initiatives. We've done a lot of work for tree plantations. We've done a lot of work. We are celebrating our 85 years, and we are working around providing over 85,000 trees. As we proceed with our presentation, allow me to go to the next slide. So this is what we've been doing for the past 85 years, is to do with innovation. Our innovation is the innovation that is bringing solutions to farmers. A farmer in Mkumbura, a farmer in Lushinga, a farmer in Bikita. Our focus is to make sure that every farmer, we've got a product for every farmer. Our products span from maize, soybean, sorghum, wheat, and millet together with cowpeas. With what is happening in the country and with what is happening with climate variability, we are seeing that most of our bigger varieties, which are the 6 and 7 series, are no longer very adaptable to some inhabitants. That is to do with places like in region 3, region 4, region 5, due to these rainfall patterns, which are no longer the same as we had in the past few years, probably in the past 20 to 30 years. The seasons have just shifted. So the shift of the seasons allowed us to streamline our focus towards giving the right products for the market. For a farmer who's in Centenary, in Mzarabani, or for a farmer who's in Bikita, a farmer who's in Philabus. So our product basket is quite huge and quite rich, to an extent that what we have done is to make sure there is food in each and every household. There are sorghum, there is cowpea. So from SeedCo, our innovation is on genetic improvement. Our genetic improvement is only targeting alleviating poverty, alleviating hunger in several places here in Africa, specifically here in Zimbabwe, which is our case in point. So at the heart of our seeds, there lies an agronomy department. Yes, we have got this genetics, but then what's up with the genetics? They can only be genetics, but they need support. So our genetics, what we do, have got an agronomy team which has got over 15 agronomists in regional provinces, whereby they are hosting trainings with farmers, giving farmers tips on, especially right now we are getting into the season. We host trainings on optimal planting techniques, give the right technological advancement which are happening, the right innovation, the fertility management, and to do with pest and disease management. So this will support our genetics. Our genetics will not walk alone and proceed to the next stage, but we need to make sure that it's genetics, environment, and I'm going to have a conversation around it on the future slides. So for the past 5 years, we've been supporting small-scale farmers and all the government initiatives we're coming up with some climate-smart initiatives so that climate-smart agriculture is well taken care of. I understand we all know about the Pfumvudza program, which is being run by government and other institutes, and we fully support it. And all our agronomists who are in the provinces are championing this together with the Ministry of Agriculture on how best farmers can do it. So in terms of scalability, the government managed to scale it up, and as SeedCo, we managed to be very present in those spaces as well. So our agronomists, day by day, they visit farmers and make sure that there is so much coming from those plots. SeedCo managed to have some digital services whereby we are disseminating information in various platforms, be it on social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, just to make sure that there's no stone which is left unturned. So several agronomists from SeedCo are live on radio, they're live on TV, just to make sure that all these techniques are disseminated to support the production of maize, support the production of sorghum in all the small scale and large scale inhabitants. Why are we sharing the knowledge as SeedCo? Yes, we breed the seed, but how can we feed Africa with our seed? We make sure that we are present in every farmer space. There are several agronomists who are hosting what we call the WhatsApp farmer groups, whereby a farmer can just come in with any challenge in that group and get immediate help at zero charge. No money is paid, nothing is paid. So it's an additional layer to support our genetics. What is happening is that a farmer can notice or pick anything which is quite strange from the field through scouting. So with our technical groups, we make sure that a farmer gets immediate response and from experiences. And there's sometimes what we call some peer-to-peer learning. Because one farmer would have experienced it at some point. Then you see that there is so much experience in that group and people get to exchange a lot. And this is helping farmers move from 0.5 tons per hectare up to 1 ton per hectare. Because our challenge here in Zimbabwe is what we call the national average yield. It's very, very low, be it especially in the small scale sector. You would see that the commercial sector, they manage to evade climate by irrigating. So this is not really happening in the small scale due to the cost of infrastructure for the irrigation. So you see the small scale need a careful planning, and the careful planning should be coming from SeedCo agronomists, the Met department, the agricultural extension officers, so that we all come in to protect the small scale. Because the bid is to make sure that the small scale is protected by all means necessary. In as much as we want to save seed, but we won't be very happy after every 6 months when seed is bought and there's nothing coming out from the same seed. So for us, we want the full potential of our genetics to be unlocked through good agronomic practices and through our genetics and good management of the environment. Go to the next slide. So from SeedCo, we've got several climate smart initiatives. Like I indicated, these are the varieties from early maturing varieties, the 300 series, 400 series. They're quite early and they are responding very well in several regions. And right now, we are on a drive to make sure that there is uptake of traditional grains, especially in region 4 and 5. You'd say region 4 and 5, due to the amount of rainfall, they receive less than 500 times under normal circumstances. So you'd see we are pushing for the production of small grains, that is the red sorghum and the white sorghum, which is called SCC. Those are the champion varieties from SeedCo. These varieties have proven beyond any reasonable doubt that they can give a farmer a very good yield and they can give a farmer a business case out of it, especially the red sorghum. It is being used in the beer manufacturing industry, whereby they are using it for malting. The yields are expensive, they are massive. The yields are really massive, and not the fact that I'm trying to blow my own horn, but we've noticed it, that the yields are quite impressive and the farmers are quite happy with it. So SeedCo is steering the good agronomic practices trained in Zimbabwe by making sure that we speak of some minimum soil disturbance conservation agriculture, especially in the small scale farmers, so that we reduce the rate of soil erosion and removal of the top layer, which is called the topsoil. So in our conversations, it's not only about the seed, but we are talking about the seed and the management practices. Next slide. Yeah, allow me to get into a higher attitude, but I'll try to, Michael, I'll try to minimize my area in this space. So as I was saying, we want to unlock the SeedCo full genetic potential. Our genetics cannot do it alone. So we come in with the soil. The soil has to be done perfectly. Bringing in some soil amendments. I'm quite happy Vida is here. She's one of people who are trying to make farmers understand the need of correcting the soil. The moment we correct what is lacking in the soil, we unlock all the nutrients and the availability of the nutrients to the genetics. The same goes on to the weather. Yes, we don't have full control of the weather. Here and there we might do cloud seeding, but what we can do is that our management practices should output should fully support the genetics so that the genetics gets fully unlocked. So the genetics alone, they won't do anything much, but allow me to say 40% of what you see from the crop is coming from the genetics. 60% is coming from those three items. So if those three items are not playing in the right space, I tell you the genetics will not really do much as expected. That's why we call it the genetic potential. Yes, the genetic potential of 727, you might yes 16 tons per hectare. But the moment you don't correct all that, it will come down to 300 kgs per hectare, and you will not be in the right mind to come and say, SeedCo, your genetics is not right. It's nothing to do with genetics. It's to do with the management and the environment. So this is our pride. We have managed to champion our breeding and our existence here in Africa. As you can see from sugar beans, maize, sunflower, you name it, all the crops, we're trying to make sure that there is something for every farmer and for every environment. That is to do with from region 1 up to the region 5. This slide is explaining what we call the good agronomic practices. Those are SeedCo varieties. Alone, they will not do it. We have to move together with soil type, the fertility, weeds, and everything. We have to make sure that all those aspects, the management aspects, are taken care of for us to allow the full expression of our genetics. Our genetics is if it's placed in a very good environment, I tell you, it can fully express themselves, and there will be minimum or less hunger in Zimbabwe. That is when farmers adopt the good agronomic practices. That's for a farm. You select a variety from SeedCo, that is maize. What you need to understand the amount and distribution of water in your area. I'm happy the Met department gave us an overview of what's going to happen here in Zimbabwe. So as agronomists, what is it that we're doing? We're trying to make farmers understand the amount and the distribution of rainfall guided by the Met, so that they will select the right variety that works well in their own specific area. So for their microclimates, because we don't want to have this, just I see a farmer who's in Mazoo and I just tell him, because you're in region 2B, so you need to grow 727. That would be a very wrong advice to a farmer. Because we really need to make a data-driven advice to a farmer, a tailor-made advice that is responding to the climatic needs for this particular year. We have heard that this year is neither El Nino or La Nina. It's something which is in between. So our advice is SeedCo. What we are doing is that we are going to align every advice to farmers in specific regions based on the information that we have received so far, so that the farmers will not lose their fortunes by buying seed twice or thrice. Yes, to us it's a sale, but it's not a very good sale, whereby a farmer will have to come a second time to come and buy seed so that he can or she can replant. So for us, we'll be very happy when you buy seed and it germinates 100%. When you buy seed, then you get 30% germination. To us, we are not very happy. Why? Because our seed is meant to shine. Our seed is meant to give 90% and above germination percentage. So you see, these are the factors which we need to consider when selecting the variety. Then we need to understand the length of growing season. We have to be very careful to understand how long is the growing season. We have had the season whereby majority of the water is going to come in between December and January, and there's going to be some lack of water between February. So these are the conversations that should guide us in terms of what we are going to grow. When are we starting our plantings? When are we doing our spraying of fungicides? When are we doing our spraying for herbicides and control of everything? Then altitude and temperature and air temperature is another aspect. There's an increase in altitude, there's an increase in temperature. I'm sure we all know that. So our challenge is now we need to make sure that our variety selection in terms of temperature. There are places whereby we can't grow varieties that need more temperature. And then if they need more temperature, and our challenge is that if they need more temperature, we should be very careful with our water regimes. In those spaces, because what we're talking of what we call the heat units. Allow me not to get into the heat units now. Let me save this for another moment. But for the meantime, let me get into the planting dates. The planting dates should align with what we call the distribution of water. We cannot do our dry planting when we're not so certain about when the rain is coming. So our conversations should be well guided with the weekly with the weekly forecast that is coming from the Met Department. And we need to understand again, when we are growing, say, commercial grain, silage, or whatever it is that we're growing, our plant density should align very well with our intended use. You cannot grow a commercial grain with low population because your yield obviously will not be very attractive. Then, in terms of management, something that we've spoken about. So let's get in the attributes. Let's get into the phase of managing our crops very well in terms of our planning. These are the varieties from SeedCo. Allow me to explain to you. We have got what we call the series, the 300, 4, 5, 6, 700 series. This series, they mean, as you can see, the smallest one, that's the rabbit, and you go to a monkey, you go to a zebra, you go to a lion, and so the order of these animals are what they're really translating to is the number of days they take to mature. So if I'm a very prudent agronomist, I cannot tell a farmer who has been mentioned in Mzarabani, the rainfall is not going to go beyond 400 mils per season, and tell the farmer to grow 727. I will not be a very good agronomist. The good agronomists give a farmer better options. The options that stands there is that there is a 301, a 303. 100 days to physiological maturity, then you're good to go. Even they've got chances to escape drought, they've got chances to escape even those mid-season droughts. But that won't really happen to that crop that will require 5 months in the ground. So our conversations should be aligned with the area, and our advice is agronomists, even for the Ministry of Agriculture agronomists, the conversations should make sure that our variety of choices should align very well with the seasonal quality and the amount of rainfall that we are going to receive. Our varieties, they are bred to give us the best yields from 7 tons a hectare up to 16 tons a hectare. But this can only happen through careful planning. The careful planning is whereby you select the right variety for your region, guided by what we have indicated from the Met Department. The Met Department even guided by what we call the indigenous knowledge systems. Those ones exist as well. We should not get away from them, but they are really coming as an additional layer of assisting us to make the right decisions as a farmer. So these are the varieties that are coming from SeedCo. From this 400 series, you see there's 419, 437. They speak directly to the needs of the farmer, especially in the small scale and the communal farmers. 301, 303, 419, 437, even up to all these 600 series. With the amount of rainfall, since we are being informed that it's going to be slightly above normal rainfall. So you see there's so much to do with those varieties. Then in high potential areas, there's nothing that limits you from growing 727 and 719. These varieties perform very well in such spaces. So as farmers, we kindly advise you to select the right varieties for your right areas and for your production system. Are you a farmer who's irrigating? Don't hesitate. Go for the high yield. That's the best thing you can ever do. Go for the high yield. The 719, 727, 659, 657. You will not go wrong because of high yields. The more days it will take in the soil, the more days it will take to feed. So the more of the weight it will have. Unlike a crop that will grow for 90 days in the soil, this one will go for 150 days. So it has got more time for photosynthesis, more time to accumulate more food. So there's more yield to that. Next slide. These are farmers who are doing silage. From SeedCo, what we have got varieties that have got high silage yield, varieties that have got a good nutritional composition, which is to do with high energy and good fiber amounts from SeedCo. From the high yielding varieties, I tell you, they are ranging from 55 to 60 tons a hectare of silage. So you see, under good agronomic practices, it's very possible to have a field like that one. And this field, it can really give you your return per investment if done properly, under good care and under good management. Why should we grow soya in Zimbabwe? This is important. Soya, there's a gap here in Zimbabwe. There is a gap in terms of the amount of soya that is needed. Farmers, we really encourage them to grow soya. Why? Because there are some opportunities in the soya business. Can you go to the next slide? This is the motivation to grow soya. One, there's some unbeatable and guaranteed demand. The oil industry needs soya, the feed manufacturing needs soya. You see Zimbabwe require over 400,000 tons of stock feed. The stock feed is coming from soya and from maize. So it's very critical for farmers to grow soya be it in the small scale and even in the commercial scale sector. We, as industry leaders, SeedCo, we are very ready to be championing the good agronomic practice and supply of soya beans here in Zimbabwe. It's a natural money saver for the nation because you look at the amount of oil which is being imported, the amount of soya which is being imported just to cover up for the deficit in the feed manufacturing industry. These are the varieties from SeedCo: Status, Serenade, Safari, and Spy. We're going to provide some brochures for you to go through them, and we'll have a sideways discussion on this variety. So allow me not to get in there. So then, for sugar beans in Zimbabwe, sugar bean it's a high value commodity. That is for small scale farmers, even the commercial farmers. The good thing about sugar beans is that the amount of days they take to reach physiological maturity. You see that sugar bean, like from SeedCo, we've got a variety that physiologically mature in 60 days. That is precisely 2 months. So there's provision of protein, extra protein in those 2 months. There's going to be provision. So our population is growing as a country. So there's need for the population to have the right amount of the nutrients. And for yes, in Africa, we see there's some regional deficits of sugar beans, whereby South Africa annual requirement is over 120,000. So you see that alone, South Africa alone, they might not even end up to export the sugar beans even to Zimbabwe. Why? Because there's a natural deficit even in their own spaces. So you see, it is very imperative and it is very important for us to encourage farmers to grow sugar beans due to the merits that we gain from sugar beans. Look at it, the short growing season. They take from 90 to 120 days. Even in terms of drought escape, they would have escaped drought more than what a maize can do. So as SeedCo agronomists, what we are doing is that we are encouraging farmers to take our varieties this season as well, so that they come in as a second layer after even maize, even to make it another crop of choice after maize, if you're not growing soybean as well. Next slide. So these are the varieties from SeedCo and their potential, that is to do from 2 tons per hectare up to 3 tons per hectare to this high yield, which is called AC Ukulinga. So you would see this season, let's be very vigilant. Let's go out there. If when you have good opportunities to discuss with farmers, sugar bean is a good crop of choice. What needs to be emphasized is the need to spray fungicides. Considering that the other half of the season is going to be relatively wet, so there will be more fungal diseases in that space. So farmers need more conversations on how to make the sugar bean clean. So our advice is, when you do variety selection, we assist farmers to buy the right variety that can grow very well in their inhabitants, their spaces. Then our good agronomic practices should just go beyond issues to do with nutrition and fungal sprays. I'm sure that much we will be able to get more of the yield and get the yield as we expect. So from SeedCo, I would like to thank you for the opportunity that we had today just to discuss about our varieties, where you can get them, and we've got agronomists. We brought some brochures which we are going to share with each and everyone in here, just to make sure that you have got the right information, the varieties, who to call, and where to check for advice. So from SeedCo, we say choose the right seed for your soil and choose the right seed that aligns well with the rainfall. Choose the right seed that works well with your market. So from SeedCo, I would say let's keep going.
Thank you. Thank you, Dio. Are there any questions for SeedCo?
No, thanks so much, Dio, for the presentation. I've two questions. The first one relates to the small grains. I think the bigger audience in this room, their development partners who are working in marginal areas, you really went out there to talk about maize. I think it will be useful to get an insight into what you call good yields for the small grains. The second question, last forum we talked about sesame, which is grown in the borders of Mozambique, Chipinge, Mzarabani, that whole basin. And the issue that has kept on coming is availability of certified seed for sesame. I understand it's an OPV, it might have limitations. Are there any innovations or R&D going on in that space? Because it's a low input crop and high export potential. I think if we are to drive the agriculture in Zim, we have to convert our smallholder farmers to grow some cash crops, especially those that we can export, so that we are not dependent on tobacco.
Okay,
thanks.
Thank you very much for your question. I'll take on the first question. From SeedCo, like I've indicated, we are very responsive when it comes to the needs of small-scale farmers. That is to do with the sorghum. You have mentioned issues to do with small grains, that is the traditional grains. So we have got the SCCLA, which is responding very well to the climate due to the amount of rainfall, amount of water they require for them to fully grow and get harvested. So our varieties, with the potential say, for SCCLA, the white-seeded sorghum, which is being used for mealie meal in other inhabitants, it has got the potential of going up to 6 tons per hectare under good management practice. So you see that we have been developing, we've got a program, what we call the Demo Plots program across Zimbabwe in several inhabitants, where we are demonstrating to farmers to see how it can be grown in their own spaces so that they can emulate, they can do it even for themselves as well. So we come in several places, several regions, and demonstrate how to grow the sorghum, the red sorghum and the white sorghum. So some of the farmers, we even capacitate them. Across Zimbabwe, we work with over 2,000. We do over 2,000 demo plots, and from the 2,000 demo plots, over 200 demo plots are dedicated towards the small grains. So what we are doing is that since there are new innovations, say for the red sorghum, HX102, which has the ability to go up to 9 tons under good agronomic practice. This has been tested at farm. And some farmers, they've even managed to get up to 7 tons a hectare under dryland. This has been happening. So we are quite excited that in our programs, small grains are very dear to us in the sense that they are a low input crop. Farmers use less amount of fertilizer and they require less amount of rainfall to reach physiological maturity. So for us, it's a benefit because the room for failure for small grains is even minimal. So we are quite even excited to be championing the small grains initiative across Zimbabwe. Then as you go on to the sesame seed, there's a lot of work which is being done by SeedCo in our R&D. I think it's relatively premature for me to come in and indicate our advancement as we speak, but there's so much work which is being done on several crops which are making headlines here in Zimbabwe, because our issue is that we are making solutions for the Pan-African solutions for the Pan-African people. So everything that we're doing, we are breeding for Zimbabweans and for other nations in Africa.
Yeah, hi, thanks for presentation. First thing I would have to say for the presentation would be nice to have an economic overview as well. Return on investment, what does it mean in terms of dollars and Zimbabwe dollars? And the second issue is on your small grains, I assume they are OPVs?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
Because then you wouldn't have, well, what's your stand in general on OPVs, including potential for OPV maize?
Okay. So SeedCo, we mostly do hybridization. Most of our varieties, they are hybrid varieties. But the good thing about being hybrid varieties, they are bred to fit into our challenges, that is to do with climate variability. So you see, they are hybrid varieties, but then they're giving us the very good yield under minimum cost. So that there's more advantage to use hybrid seed. Why? Because of superior qualities in the genetics. So in terms of maize, we do hybridization because of their return per investment. They give us more yields, which speak directly to the pockets of the farmer. But then our challenge, our issue again, when you spoke of the overview, I'm sure we're going to have a brief overview in terms of a comparative analysis on what is happening from our varieties and the other OPVs which could be in the market.
And then on your sorghums and millet?
On our sorghums, yeah. On our sorghums, we do have,
What is sorghum?
yeah. On our sorghums, we do have in our millets, which is in the breeding pipeline. Very soon, we're going to be churning out several millets varieties, which are as well hybrids and OPVs as well. Then one of our sorghum varieties, SCCLA, is an OP variety. Yeah, it's an OPV variety. So it responds very well to any climatic needs, because it's an OPV. That is the white-seeded sorghum variety. But then the HX102, which is channeled into the beer manufacturing industry, is the red sorghum, which is a hybrid variety. Yeah. So the OPV, we have it and we're fully stocked with it as well.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I don't agree with talking a lot about the hybrid season everything like that. Can we have confidence that we will still maintain our traditional genes? Like, because these things are being mixed and when they come to the fields, everything that happens. Can we still have confidence in it that we will still have our genes, like the traditional genes that we have, that we used to have? Thank you.
That's fine. From your question, if I understood it very well, what we are doing, there's what we call our own traditional brain from Zimbabwe. You mean protection of that and what we are doing. Okay. We don't tamper with any material from our indigenous genes. Because what is happening is that CIMIT develop lines. These are lines developed by CIMIT. Then we work with those lines to come up with what we call a hybrid. So in those lines being developed, there's nothing to do with tampering with all these traditional genetics that is to do with what we have from Zimbabwe. So there's serious preservation of the traditional genetics here in Zimbabwe. Our breeding doesn't take anything from the traditional material or to tamper with the traditional material. And here, allow me to say that these genetics, they are coming from a hybrid setup whereby you come up with a line A, line B to come up with AB. So coming up with AB is a result of two lines which might be developed by CIMIT and another line being developed by SeedCo. So then that brings up what you call a hybrid. So there's nothing that goes on to tamper with those genetics which are quite existent from since time immemorial.
I think, Baba, you open up a huge discussion on seed banks. I guess the danger is that big companies like SeedCo, they come in and they could crowd out those indigenous genetics and reduce diversity. But there are, I think, efforts at the national level and then several NGOs at district level to establish seed banks to preserve those indigenous lands.
So the indigenous ones are being preserved very well. There are several organizations which are championing the preservation of such seed banks. And our ways of business, they do not tamper with that space because that space is with its own ways of principles and how they operate. So we make sure that they are preserved in that space because majority of them, they are OPVs. Then they are not coming from the hybrid setup. So they remain in their own space, in the right space, and they are protected that way. So I've seen several organizations championing for the protection of such seed banks.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? Good.
Yes, this is the last one. In terms of distribution, reason why I'm asking this is, over the past decade, we had NGOs coming to buy directly seed from you distributing, but with the spending cuts, I guess we're going to see less of that. How have you changed your distribution models? How easy is it for farmers in the marginal areas to access seed? But I know you distribute through various agencies, but you find them in the growth points and all that. Are we going to see the general dealers back in the 90s where you would go to?
Okay. Oh, that's a brilliant question. Yeah. So you see that we are quite excited that we've got a very, very huge trade network. Our channel starts from our own depots. SeedCo has got its own depots. And we've got what we call other key accounts, which is like Gain, the Pro Farm. They might be having 70 to 90 branches across the country, and we've got electro sales there. We also have got many distributors who are distributing seed on our behalf in several ways. They are quite dotted around the country. As an additional layer, within the communities, in farming communities, in communal areas, we have created a situation whereby they are called the VBA, a village-based agents, whereby a team of a village, they don't need to walk 10 k's to access seed. I said to agronomists to come into your area and you manage to buy seed from one of your trusted friends within your community, be it a headman or whoever it is, who's trusted to hold stock for SeedCo and sell it to other farmers. We've done what we call Mikando, and we've done what we call the prepayments. A farmer can buy seed now and collect it later after 5 months or after 4 months or in December. You, instead of paying $30 at once, you pay $6 this week. When you get another $3, you pay 3 cash. So we have made it very flexible for farmers to access it at low cost. I mean, no interest being charged on that account. Was that $30 even we've spread it for 5 months, but then a farmer will still get it and will be able to collect it in designated areas from SeedCo. So you see what we have done is that we've partnered with several what you call the distribution networks, several depots, Wiruma, so that our seed is available in TM, in OK, everywhere. You must be seeing seed of SeedCo. No farmer is meant to travel over 5 to 10 Ks looking for seed of SeedCo from SeedCo. If there's going to be that farmer, I think we'll be very happy to populate that information to make sure that the seed is nearby to the farmer.
Yes, ma'am.
So my question is, are there any initiatives that you're doing to protect, the seed varieties against like counterfeit seeds? I know there's some people who are selling counterfeit seeds. They kind of putting in a branded SeedCo pack. And how are you protecting the
Thank you very much. You know, that's a very tough fight. We've been fighting with several people who are creating counterfeit seed, which will further harm the farmer at the end of the day. So what we did is that we have got our own security department and our own management. We work together with the Ministry of our parent Ministry of Agriculture and the ZRP to make sure that we visit those areas, because some of them we get to see who's doing that through some feedback that we get, and some farmers they tell us through the doubts that they have with the seed. Then in an investigative team will come through and see how best can we assist the farmer. Because what we are doing is that all our efforts are to make sure the farmers get protected. So the ZRP, our team from SeedCo, and the Ministry of Agriculture through the statutory instruments, they are making sure that no distributor, no one is going to sell seed which is fake seed. So it's a fight which is an ongoing fight. And within our own product, we make sure that there are some special type of chemical which we use as well, which will differentiate fake seed from our seed. When we put fake seed here and our seed, you can tell the difference even in our packaging. But safe to say that there is still, people can still find their ways to create fake seed. You see, so our efforts will not sleep, will not go to sleep until we win the fight against fake seed, because it will make us lose business, to tarnish our brand. There are so many repercussions, and our reputation will go down the line. So it's something that we put 100% of our efforts, if not 110%. Okay.
Coming from Fuseit, so we do analysis of security, and mostly our focus is also on the poor farmers, the poor households and communities. And one of the areas that we have been some questions is on affordability of seed. Most areas that we go to and we're interviewing like poor households in terms of their input availability, one of their cries is that the seeds are not affordable. So I'm not so sure if in your packages you're also considering the poor households who are not able to afford seed.
Okay, that's a good question. So what we have done is that in most of our responses, we have had these conversations whereby farmers have been airing their concerns of the seed price and everything. So it all goes down to the cost of production, where we're coming from. You know, the cost of production was our seed is something is produced by another farmer who's contracted to grow seed. So in our model, we need to pay that farmer as well. So each and every farmer needs to be protected, be it the producer and the consumer. So our seed price try to accommodate both ends, so that tomorrow we'll still have the one who's producing seed and the one who's going to buy seed. So we try by all means necessary to balance the scale in a way that will protect the both worlds.
Here we are. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just a quick one. I don't know if that was covered before I came in. What is the season like this coming 25-26? I'm hearing so many conflicting stories.
I think you came in a bit late. We've got Baba here from MSD, and he provided a presentation on the coming season. And if I was to put it like in my words, and you can correct me, we're expecting around about the 14th November start. Around about. Normal to above normal in most areas of the country, except for the northern sort of Yorushinga, Mount Darwin, maybe Mudzi. And then as we get to around about the 26th, we're going to experience a dry spell up until early December, after which the rain's going to push in. And I can't remember the rest, Barbara.
Something is saying, but just that it's a little bit far away for now to see that into season, but we're expecting a decrease in rain from around March. We cannot conclusively say that's when the season is going to end, but I think the amounts will start reducing and they will become a little bit lower than the normal amount expected. But generally, we're expecting a good season in name of sales, and it is a neutral season that is neither El Nino nor La Nina. So we are in between there. In our season, we might start mid-November, and we're expecting the bulk of our rains in December and January.
Okay, because what I was reading is that you should expect October and November to be quite wet, and then try December, and then is that way around?
Yeah, exactly. We're expecting October and part of November to be dry,
Okay,
and the other part of November into December to wet.
okay, okay.
Okay, I think that's almost a wrap. I've just got one final question. You see, the seed companies, I think in East Africa, maybe Kenya, where they bundle weather insurance into the price of the seed. Is this something that SeedCo has ever done or is considering?
Yeah.
So the farmer, if there's failure, germination failure, then he gets his seed cost back.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I think 2 months back, we had a conversation with the Insurance Council of Zimbabwe. They brought in this conversation whereby it's happening, and it's something which is now in the conversation. Yeah, we discussed how we can model it up with the whole package from SeedCo and insurance guys. So to see how best we can protect the farmer with that, with the index and stuff.
All right, thank you. So I think that sort of brings us to the end.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much.
So our next event is Market Linkage Association. I think it's the 23rd of October. We'll be meeting at Royal Harare, where there will be a workshop on horticulture, unlocking horticulture for the smallholder farmer. That's being sponsored by the Netherlands Embassy, and we are doing that together with HDC. So we've got some pretty nice presentations lined up for that, and I hope you can make it. Yeah. Otherwise, thanks very much, everyone.